What's going on, guys? Balkan Architect here, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing these 5 awesome tips to improve your renderings in Revit. Now the first tip is going to be all about advanced render quality settings, so we're going to get those advanced settings so perfect so every rendering turns out the way you want it to. Then we're going to be moving on to rendering lights, and I'm just going to share a few tips and tricks to get those night scenes just right. Then we're going to be moving on to setting up the right size of your rendering so it doesn't take too long to render, but when you print it out or when you post it somewhere, the quality is going to be just right. Then we're going to be moving on to perfect lighting with sun settings, and I'm going to be sharing some tips and tricks for setting up your sun in the right place so you get those perfect shadows the way you want them to. And then we're going to be creating some background so the background of your rendering looks right and your building looks like it's at the right place. Okay, but before I get started with that, I would just like to ask you to like this tutorial. It helps me out a lot, and if you haven't already, I suggest you subscribe because I make tutorials like this every day. And if you want to download any of the project files that I'm going to be using in this project, as well as all of my other Revit project files, please check out my Patreon, first link in the description. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so let's start off with setting up the render quality settings and checking out all of those advanced render quality settings. So here I am in Revit, and just to start off a render dialog, you need to be in a 3D view, as I am over here. This is a student project, and don't worry, I'm going to be talking about this project, what it's all about, and how I've modeled it in one of the future tutorials. So to start your rendering setup, you can either go here to the View tab and then you search for render, or as you can see over here in the parentheses it says RR, so you just double tap that R key and you're going to get this rendering dialog. Now here you've got your render button, that's when you start rendering, but before that let's do the setup first. So here for the quality setup settings, you see you've got your quality, then it says settings, and here you've got draft, medium, high, best, custom, and edit. Okay, so first, what's the difference between the quality and the output settings? So people sometimes mismatch these two. So for those pixelated renderings, when it's just blurry and it doesn't look right, you probably have the wrong output settings. So you probably have this at screen or something like that, so it's too little pixels, so everything is pixelated and it doesn't look right. So that's what this output settings is all about. The rendering quality is how much time and effort Revit puts into rendering to create those realistic renderings. So it's all about shadows, reflections, all of the materials, and how realistic the materials will look like. So that's what quality settings is all about. So when we go over here, draft is really something you're only using to see, to check if it looks right on your computer. You can use medium for pretty much everything that doesn't have to be picture perfect, and then high and best is to get that high-end image. But be careful, like the difference in rendering between draft and medium is not that high, but when you go from medium to high or even best, it's going to take a really long time to render one of those. So make sure that everything is right before you choose one of these. But of course you can use always custom, and you can edit that. So you just go here to edit and you start your rendering quality settings dialog. And here currently it's at custom. You can go to draft, high, medium. So as you can see, you've got some settings over here, but if we go here to custom, as you can see, now you can change some of the settings. So first, for the light and material accuracy, you can go with simplified, or you can go to advanced, and then you can go render by level, and then you can go at how long you would like your rendering to be, and how long you would like to have the quality. And here we've got render by time, so you can actually set up the time for your renderings. So you can say render for 2 minutes, and whatever it does in 2 minutes, I want to have that. And then you have this unit satisfactory, and this just means that it will continue rendering until you're happy with it, and then you just hit stop. So you can just let it go for a few minutes, then if you're happy you hit stop, or you maybe let it go for another few minutes. So that's how you set up this custom rendering setup, so you can get your renderings perfect all the time. Now for most of the stuff I do, I prefer using medium or sometimes high if I'm doing like presentation stuff. But that's it. I usually don't mess with this custom stuff because in my experience you don't really need it that often. Now moving on to the next topic, which will be rendering at night or rendering lights, and what to do to set up the perfect night rendering. And as you can see over here, I'm in Revit, and I'm in a progress of rendering this I guess you would call it a cafe exterior rendering, and I just want to show you what this looks like. So this is now set up at best, and I've actually set up the image size, the quality down, so it's a bit blurry, but the rendering quality is set at best. Now, as you can see here, I've got these lights that are on this upper construction, and they're giving you kind of these rings, light rings on the floor. So when you look at these light rings, they're actually quite fine and circular. And if I take this image that I rendered earlier, and this is actually what I used for the presentation of this project, as you can see, when we look at this is soft and round, and here it's kind of straight edges, and it's very angular, and it's not soft at all. So that's the main difference. I think this was rendered at medium or perhaps even high, but I think it was at medium. So this is what it looks like at medium, and this is what it looks like at high. So it's just going to be a bit softer, a bit more realistic, and just that bit better as far as all of the lighting reflections and how light looks when it's on some material and stuff like that. Okay, so let me move this image out of the way, and let me stop this rendering. So yeah, stop that. And one more thing that you need to be careful when rendering lights, you need to make sure you set up the lights at perfect intensity. So if I just select this light and go into Edit Family, I need to go in and just go here to the Family Types dialog and open that up. So let me just open that up, and here, as you can see, we've got the color. So here is where you set up your light color. So if you go at a higher number than 4000, it's going to be white, and if you go below that, it's going to be one of those yellow lights. And here you can set up the actual intensity by setting up the watts and the efficiency. And so those are some of the basic settings you need to do to make sure that the intensity of the light as well as the color of the light is perfect. And here you can also add a color filter, so it's going to give you a bit more of this color in that light. Okay, so I'm just going to hit OK and just load this into the project and close it up because we don't need it anymore. So let's load it here. Okay. And you can just override the existing version if you want to save the settings. Now I didn't change anything, so I'm just going to cancel out of that. And yeah, let me just close this off without any changes. Okay. Okay, moving on to the next tip, and that's setting up the correct size for your rendering. Now, this is really important for two reasons. The first reason is because you don't want to render for too long. So if you set up your size to be too large, it's going to take a very long time to render that, and that's not something you want to have. Because rendering, it's annoying that you have to wait for any length of time, so don't do it for longer than you absolutely need. And the second reason is if you set it up to be too small, then it's going to be all blurry and pixelated, and nobody wants that, and it's going to be useless, and then you have to reset it again. So it's smart to do it for the first time. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, let me just go to the render dialog, and again, view, render, or just double R, and here it is. And here for the output settings, you can set it to screen or to printer. Now, the difference between these two is, I guess it's self-explanatory. If you set it to screen, it's going to be for some renderings that you're only going to be viewing on screen. So if you're just sending it as an email to the client, or you're just posting it on some website, it makes sense to use this screen resolution, and it's locked at 96 dpi, which is like pixels per square inch, if I'm not mistaken. And if you set it up to printer, now you can change some settings up. So first, you have these width and height, and it's in millimeters, and when we were on screen it was in pixels. So here, because in screens you're really measuring in pixels, and for the printer we've also got in pixels, but we've also got in actual dimensions. So this is 173 millimeters by 84 millimeters. And for the density of the pixels, or for the number of pixels, here we can set it up to 600 dpi, 300, 150, and 75. Now, if you're doing 75, that's really only for viewing it on screen, so it doesn't really make sense to use this. For 150, if you're using some of those lower quality papers, like for the newspaper paper, you know, that kind of rugged, awful paper, so this is for something like that. Now 300 dpi, it's just perfect for printing. It gives you the right it gives you the perfect pixel density. And for the 600, I don't know why would you use this. I think this is way too much. Maybe if you're printing on some high quality paper, but yeah, I just prefer 300. Or even you can go in here and just change it. I sometimes change it to 250 if I'm in a hurry, so I don't want to waste too much time rendering. So that's how you do that. And as you can see over here, the pixels will update, but the width and height will stay the same. Now, how do you change the actual height and width? Well, for that, we need to exit out of this. Just remember this number, 173 and 84. And just close this dialog. And now if we go over here in this rendering or this 3D view, I'm just going to change it to hidden line, just so we can kind of manipulate it easier. If I select this, this is just a section box, so this doesn't really matter, it's just for this perspective section. And if I select this window around here, that's the actual crop window. So if I go over here, as you can see, that's the crop window. And if you want to change the size of the image, you can go here to size crop, and here just select here scale, so it changes the dimensions of your rendering, but it will keep the same proportions. And here for the width, it's now at 173. Let's say we want to make it a bit larger, so let's do 250. And as you can see, this is now at 84, but when I hit apply, it's going to proportionately scale that from 84 to 122. And if we just hit OK right now and go into that render dialog once again, so just double R, and we're here, and here for the printer, as you can see, now it's changed to 250 by 122 or 122 millimeters. So that's how you get your perfect dimensions for your rendering. Okay, let's exit out of that and let's go into the 3D view. Yeah, over here. And here for the 3D view, it's just a quick little tip. You're actually going to change the quality of the 3D view by changing the scale. So if you set this up to 1 to 100, it's going to be a very higher quality than if it's at 1 to 1000. So just for this 3D view, it works different than for the perspective views, because in any perspective view, you don't really have that option of changing the scale. You've just got this perspective. So just keep that in mind. Okay, moving on, let's go to the default 3D view and let's do the sun settings. Now, as you can see here, shadows are on and we can see them here, and let's make them a bit darker just to make it easier for me to demonstrate this. So let's go like that. Yeah, and let's change this from shaded to hidden line. Apply. Okay, so now you can see the shadows. Okay, so when you're in 3D view and you go around, you can see this is what this 3D model looks like. But let's say you want to change the shadows. Now, there are two reasons for this. Either you want the shadows to be exactly perfect to the location where your building is at. So if you want some hyper-realistic renderings, that's what you want to have. So just go here to sun settings. So just go sun settings. And then here you can go to still. And here you set up the location, so you open up this, and as long as you're connected to your internet, you can find the correct location, so you can zoom out, take this little house, and you can transfer it wherever you want. So let's go and let's place it somewhere in Europe. Let's see, where are we? Yeah, let's go to, I don't know, France. Everybody likes to go to France. Okay, so I'm just going to hit OK. So that's where you can find your exact location. Here you can set up the date and time, and then you can render. But this only works if your creating those like perfect realistic renderings. But if you just wanted to make it look nice and you want to adjust the shadows just in a way you want to have it, just to get that like perfect view, if it's for a student project and it doesn't have to be hyper realistic, or you just want to fool the client a little bit into thinking that the project is that much better. So I'm just going to hit OK over here, and then I'm just going to turn the sun path on, and you get to this cool diagram, and here's the sun. So you can actually select the sun, and if I select it and hold it, as you can see, I can actually move it on the screen. It gives me this dialog where I can actually move it around. So if it's day, night, and as you can see, whenever I change the position of the sun, I can actually change the placement of the shadows. So if it's like this, here are the shadows, and if we move it down over here, the shadows are much greater. So you can kind of play around with that and just get the shadows at what you want them to be at. So maybe this is something you want to have, so that's now that view. So you can play around in 3D and you can set it up to whatever you want to have it, and when you're done with that, you can just go here and turn the sun path off, and you're going to be left with the sun in the placement where you kind of placed it in the sky. Okay, and that's it for all of the sun settings. And now let's just talk about background. So whenever you want to render, you usually want to have a correct background for your image. So let me go in one of those 3D views, for example this one. Yeah, but as you can see here, we're too high. So let's change it to be at some like view where a person would stand. Again, let's change this to hidden line just to make it easier to manipulate. Yeah, so let's say this is a perspective from like a human being, and let's just look at it like this. Okay, so we've got this perspective view, and let's say we want to add some background. So if I hit the double R, you can go here to the render dialog, and here for the background, we've got a few options. So you can either set it to sky no clouds, that's just a blue sky, then few clouds, this is usually what I use. Then you've got this is very few clouds, yeah, that's what I usually use. Then you've got few clouds, cloudy, very cloudy, that's if you want to say have some dramatic sky. And then so just choose one of those if you're creating a rendering. Again, what I prefer is very few clouds. It just gives you, well, a very few clouds. Okay, and then you've got color, so you can actually select here and just place some color. So if you want to have a pink background, this is how you do it. And let's change that. Okay, then you can go from image or transparent. So transparent, it just makes sense. It creates a transparent image, so I suggest you export then that as TIFF file, so you or as PNG, sorry. So just export that as PNG, and then you've got that transparency, so you can load it into Photoshop, and it's easier to set up your background. So that's one of the tricks you can use. A second trick is to use an image. So here you need to import an image, so just go image and then find one on your computer, and you can load it in and use it in a project. Or there is actually one more thing you can do, and that's creating fake background buildings, and I've actually got a tutorial on that already, so I'm just going to be uploading or linking that up in the description of this video, so check that out if you want to create those fake background images and to make your projects look really realistic or in place. Okay, so let me cancel out of that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are my 5 awesome tips for creating amazing renderings every time you're using Revit. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial. If you want to download this project file that I'm using for demonstration, check out my Patreon, first link in the description. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share this video. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for any future tutorials, make sure to leave them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.